How to play the Dorian mode, 3 notes per string, starting on the 10th fret. And if that's all you were looking for, you can click off the video right now. I'm really not interested in wasting anybody's time, but if you're someone who's looking for a deeper dive as to how to use the Dorian mode properly and some stylistic tricks that we can use for solos, then let's go a little bit further. But before we get into the fun stuff, let's take a quick look at how to play this scale note for note across the entire fretboard. So starting on the 10th fret of the low E string, we have 10, 12, 13. Then for the next 3 strings, the A, D, and G string, it's the same pattern. We have 10, 12, 14. And then on the B string, we're going to shift up 2 frets to the 12th fret here. We're going to go 12, 13, 15. And then on the high E string, same thing. And that is the Dorian mode. So now that we know how to play the scale, let's talk about how to use it contextually so we're not playing the right notes in the wrong key. The Dorian mode is built off of the 2nd scale degree of the major scale, also known as the Ionian mode. So in order to play D Dorian in the proper key, all we have to do is go down 1 scale degree. So if D Dorian is built on the 2nd scale degree of the major scale, we have to go down 1 scale degree to find the root, or the 1st degree of the major scale. So if this is our 2nd, this would be our 1st right here, or our root, which gives us C major, or C Ionian. So if we were playing in the key of C major, or the relative minor, which is A minor, if we play D Dorian over either of those keys, it will sound great. Another trick that we can do to find the Dorian mode in a minor key, let's say we're playing an A minor, is to just play the 4th above our root. In this case, let's say our root is our 5th fret, which is going to be an A. On the low E string, all we need to do is play the 4th above, which is going to be a D. If this note right here is where we want our Dorian mode to start, we have to get this relative pitch, or the same pitch, on the low E string. This is a D. We also know that this is a D. And if you don't know this just off the top of your head, or you haven't memorized it, you can also go like this and slowly make your way up until the pitch matches, and now you know that you're in the right spot. And now it's time for the fun stuff. When it comes to soloing with the Dorian mode, at least in the way that I like to use it, I love landing on the 3rds and the 7ths. And because of how the scale is structured, it's very easy to stylistically find yourself landing on the 3rds, the 7ths, and sometimes even the major 6th, and it just sounds so emotional. For example, on the high E string, you have a 4th right here, down into a 3rd, and then you also have the root, which is going to be our C, into the 7th as well, which is going to be our B. And this is all relative to the C major scale. If this doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. Just know that if you land on these notes and you use them in your solos, you're going to sound cool. And that's what's most important. And as a matter of fact, here's an example of what I'm talking about. And when you land on those particular scale tones, it just makes the solo sound so powerful and emotional. And I love the sound of the chromatic, or going from the 4th to the 3rd, or the root to the 7th. It just gives it that very, I don't know, at least for me, almost like a miserable sound. And if that's what you're looking for, then this is the scale. And that's the thing about the modes, is you don't want them to all sound the exact same. If all of them sounded bright and happy or scary, like the Aeolian mode or the minor scale, then there really isn't a point in having 7 different modes. But if this is the one that's gonna give you that kind of somber, sad emotion, then that's another good characteristic or quality that we can use to make our music sound more impactful. And the second thing I love about the Dorian mode is you can absolutely rip across the center section of the fretboard. What I mean by that is the A, D, and G string being the exact same pattern with no shift. It just makes it so easy to fly during your solos. And as a shredder, we love simple but impressive, and that's what the Dorian mode delivers. And finally, speaking of simple, the Dorian mode has one of the best layouts when it comes to doing bends, and it's because there's basically no spots in the scale where half steps are going to get in your way and have you bend in a weird position. The only half steps that are played in the scale are right here, which is the 4th to the 3rd, the root to the 7th, and then the 4th to the 3rd one more time. But everywhere else in the entire mode is all whole steps, which basically means if you rip a whole step bend on any other scale degree, it's bound to sound good. And if you're someone who loves to rip bends, I'm telling you, the Dorian mode, one of the most emotional modes of all time, this is gonna be a life changer. But the only thing more life changing than ripping an emotional solo in the Dorian mode is connecting it to the Ionian mode. And if you play it like this, it can sound shockingly heavy.